My name is Patrick Vaughan. I work at Coolfire Media in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a motion graphics animator. I do some editorial work. I do some directing. After a long deliberation and some stints in photography, what I did was I went down to Savannah College of Art and Design down in Savannah, Georgia. Graduated there in 2000, and soon thereafter, in the spring of 2000, started work at a post-production facility back in St. Louis. And about a year later, I helped start Coolfire Media with the owner of the company. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and have only lived out of state for the 3 years I went to school in Savannah. You know, I got to say, my first hero in life, creatively, if we're going to talk about my career, I think was both a combination of my father and my uncle, who were both avid amateur photographers, and really got me into kind of looking at things with a critical eye and a frame. And I think creatively, those two guys are kind of what sparked where I ended up. I like not working. When I can not pull a 60 or 70 hour week, it is really quite nice. I spend a lot of time with my wife. Just recently, she retired from the sport of roller derby, in which case I was coaching for about 2 to 3 years. I think it was 3 years. I was coaching the St. Louis roller derby team. I'm an avid music lover. I am a music snob at heart, so to speak. If you like what I like, then your taste in music is good. So I attend a lot of concerts. Actually, tomorrow night I'm going to be attending the Flaming Lips concert back in St. Louis, so I'm looking forward to that. I look at a lot of different places for inspiration in the work I do. Sometimes time constraints, especially when working with lower budgets and with clients on quick deadlines. There's not a lot of time to think about those things, but I look at print ads, I look at a lot of different industry websites for inspiration and what other people are doing. And again, I've grown up through my career starting in photography, so I'm always looking at composition, frame, lines, depth of field, things of that nature to kind of get the point across in the projects that I'm typically working on. And I'm trying to inject a little more 3D modeling and animation into my projects. I feel like that's kind of one of my weaker points, and I'm trying to go through and do a little more in the way of adding some source materials with 3D animation. Growing up creatively with the photography, I'm a big avid movie fan. I like indie movies, I like well-directed movies, I like things that aren't necessarily big summer blockbusters. Some of the directors I like quite a bit are people like Darren Aronofsky, who, yes, hasn't done a great movie in a while. Well, no, Wrestler was pretty good, I guess. David Fincher, I think, is a great director. I'm a big fan of Dale Chihuly, the glassblower. For color, there was Dale Chihuly, I think he's based in Seattle. The St. Louis Art Museum, about 8-9 years ago, had a display of his, and I thought the color of the play of light and color through the glass was pretty amazing. And then he also came back and did a display at the St. Louis Botanical Gardens, which is one of my favorite places to do morning walks on weekends and do some photography. And he had done a display at the Botanical Gardens as well. And then I'm really inspired by music quite a bit. Again, you know, I have there's a lot of musicians I listen to, a lot of different types of music I listen to, and if I need a little creative spark, sometimes I'll lay some music into what I'm working on and let it go. When I went to school for motion graphics, my stepmother said it best, which was, "Where are you going to get a job doing what?" And I can show many people the work that I do. I show them my demo reels, I show them spots I work on, I show them animations I've done, and they still really don't quite connect the dots as to what it is I do on a daily basis. So what I try to explain to them is I move all of the different pieces and parts around to tell a story, to show a sequence of events, to sell an idea. Self-criticism is what I fear the most. I'm a pretty confident person. I know where my skill sets are. I know what I do well, but I always fear that I'm not quite up to my potential. And I fear that if I don't keep pursuing the potential that I want to reach, if I don't keep pursuing that goal of increasing my skills and increasing what I do better, that I'll lose my edge. It's definitely a technology-based industry. There's a lot of people who've maybe been left by the wayside, who are editors or motion graphics artists, if they were even called that 10, 15 years ago, who maybe aren't keeping up with the times because technology is changing. So that's another fear I have, is that it's always stay on top of the technology, stay on top of the techniques, stay on top of knowing what is current so that I can keep my skills current. Professionally and personally, art affects my life in that it puts my food on my table. But it's also very influential. I have a lot of creative friends. I am friends with quite a few musicians. I am friends with a few painters. I am friends with a writer. So I think the circles that I travel in, the people that I tend to surround myself with, are also other creatives, not necessarily in the same discipline that I have, which I think helps round me out a little bit. Collaboration is, the mother of it all, I think, and by being around people that have a different point of view, a different perspective, and a different approach to creativity, I think that makes me a little more well-rounded. I had no idea what motion graphics was in 1998 when I started on the track. I really didn't know what After Effects was. I didn't know what that term motion graphics meant. In the last 5 years, it's changed a little less than it did in the first 5 years of the 2000s in the way of DVDs and Blu-rays and things like that. But I think in the last 5 years, really, the big difference is that now when we acquire picture from video cameras and or any type of cameras, that we're now digitally acquiring those images rather than acquiring those images via tape. So right now my storage capacity that I need to work with is triple, quadruple the size of what I used to work with when we shot with tape. So I think size requirements are there, as well as digital distribution of our work through the internet, through digital distribution houses rather than going to tape. I think that's really where the workflow is changing, and I think honestly that's where the industry is going, with interactivity melding with TV and TV melding with interactivity. If you want to do what I do, you have to love it, because it works you hard. It beats you down. You can't take things personally. People want to change the work that you've done. People want to tell you how to do your work because that's their job, and that's something you can't really let affect you mentally. But I think you have to love what you do, and you have to do it. It can't be I only do this when I work. It can't be only when I'm in class can I do this work. I think really you have to pursue it, and pursue it with your own projects, not just class projects. Top 3 tools of my trade are my Mac, my Apple Tower, as many processors as I can get, as much RAM as I can jam in that thing. I'm a big fan of Adobe After Effects, and I'm a big fan of, at the moment, one of my favorite plugins for After Effects has to be Particular, using particle effects, generating with physics and animating without keyframes necessarily, but animating with the physics and the movement and the emotion of how things move around. I think those things are really kind of the weapons of choice right now for me. Recently, we did this basketball piece for the Hartford Insurance Company that I think was really shot well, and I think one of the reasons that I think it turned out so well is the client decided not to use the footage we shot and not to actually go through the spot, but we did it anyway, and we did it our way. And I think because of that, it's a little edgier, it's a little more in your face. We put some really hard music behind it, and I think it turned out really well.